welcome back to the Davy Brown 990 Restoration channel. For those of you new, my name's Barry. Happy New Year 2025. Everybody, thank you very much for your support throughout the last year. It's been absolutely brilliant. Anyway, we need to make a bit of progress. It's bloody freezing outside today, absolutely freezing. Part of my problem, as you can see, part of my problem is we're short of space. And we're short of space because of things like this, which is basketfuls of equipment in racks, taking up space. There should be up in the ceiling, like those lights. All those lights need to be up in the ceilings, and they're the ones that are 12 volt LEDs, and they're powered by me batteries from my solar panels, which I've got rigged up here, but it's just charging the caravan battery at the minute, and we're up to 13.2 volts free. I like free. So in order to get those lights up into the roof, I've got to get the tractor shifted. Tractor's got a puncture. I can't get the bead broken on the wheel. Haven't even tried. I'll show you this in a second. Haven't even tried with the big tyres, right? So what we've done is bought ourselves one of these. We're gonna, let's get a knife. Let's have a quick open here. This apparently is a bead breaker that is heavy enough to do tractors. Never had one before. Let's get it opened up. Let me see what it is. I've got no idea if this is even going to work, because I'm very skeptical of things at the minute that apparently are amazing, and you buy them and they don't work. Here we go. Bead breaker, apparently for tractor wheels. What you do, and we'll put it on the wheel in a minute, you insert this edge underneath the bead, you put this clamp into the rim, tighten it up, and then you use this nut to push out the foot in the bottom, which pushes the bead off. Now, I'll show you what we're meant by not successful getting the tyre off this one. As you can see up here, we've got a tube out of this wheel. This is how I had to get it out. As you can see, we had to cut the tyre open and cut through the bead with a chisel in order to free the bead off, in order to get that out. Which is when I decided I was going to go and get a bead breaker. Try and break the beads on this tyre, and then we'll break the bead on the big tyre next door. If I can get the tyres off, I can get these wheels away for scrap. I can get rid of the tyres. Creates more space for us with a bit of luck. So let's have a look here. First thing we're going to do, let's get some gear together, or the metric. The beasties. Okay. We've got to drive the lip underneath the tyre into the rim, where they've got to tighten down the clamp into there so it nips in tight. Apparently this is called a striker plate. We're going to get a hammer. We're going to knock that in. I'm going to tighten it down. Let's make sure everything is at the same level in there. Could have done with a big dead blow hammer for this, couldn't we? Ooh, wait a minute now. Let's check what hammer draw. Not exactly a big dead blow hammer, but big nylon hammer. Wallop. So tighten that up. In place there. And we'll tighten this down. We'll see if it does in fact push the bead off. Be nice if it did, wouldn't it? I'm not going to use a gun on these because I don't want to gall the threads. Because if this doesn't work, this little tool's going back. 35 quid. Well, I'll tell you what, right at this minute, that's an awful lot easier than the way I was doing it the other day. Which is why I gave up. Is it working though? It's pushing the tyre down, but it's not pushing the bead down. Let's take it back off again. As I say, I don't want to use a windy gun or a pneumatic hammer on this. So you can get it right in to the steel. Bit of practice in it. Let's give it another go. God knows how long these tyres have been on here, but they're well rotted. And there's something going there. Oh, movement, boys, movement. Do you know what? That's got it. That's got the bead moving there. Now, it's got the bead off there, but the tyre is so well welded into position, we're going to have to do a bit of rotation, do another section, which is fair enough, isn't it? This tyre's been on forever and ever and a day. So we'll just be prepared to move it a couple of times, see where we end up. But that's a hell of a lot easier than messing about with bolster chisels and hammers, and even on the farm where you would have had a JCB with a bucket on and you would have ran over the top of it with the bucket. You can see there how much it's pushed that bead down out of place. I think if we do it once more here, that should pop that bead a treat, shouldn't it? So, let's have a look. Get that underneath. Now I did notice last time, if you just get that started with a hammer, then use this, it actually squeezes it in. And it pulls that lip right into the wheel. There we go. And you can squeeze it, and it goes in till it hits the rim. Now, Well, I tell you what, I'm amazed at that. One of those tools that I didn't think was going to work, one that I thought would struggle, and yet one that has worked beautifully. So, tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to quickly whiz this tyre off the rim, come back to you in a minute when we've got the tyre off. I've already got the tube out. However, I'll quickly show you this. We did puncture the tube getting it out, so I've had a couple of puncture repairs on there, but it's holding up now. And I just thought, if we get the tubes out, save something. The rims are well shot. The tyres can go at the tip, gives us a bit of space. We can then test this on the big tyre on that side. Worst comes to worst, we've got to buy a tube, haven't we? Cannot afford to buy tyres at the minute. Tyres are in excess of 300 quid each for that. 36 by 12.4s I think they are. But never mind. Right, let's crack this off. I'll whiz the tyre off here, we'll get on with it. 2 minutes. Couple of good tyre levers. We might. Let's have a look. There we'll go. Right. Now actually we'll take that off the other way, because that tyre is already off in that direction, isn't it? So, that's all these are. Make sure your tyre bead is in the well. Just saves you fighting so much with it. If these wheels were clean, you could have just putting a lubricant on here and you would have getting these out. Because they're not particularly tight. And the water's rotated, that's nearly out there. Let's see if it was clean, it would have come out. These have got a good hold, I tell you. There we go. Right, that's the first one done. You see the state of these wheels. They're not as bad as I thought. The rims are well hammered, and again I think this is people knocking in tyre irons. Good shot blasters. Do you know what, I might not scrap them wheels, I might keep a hold of them, get rid of the tyres, definitely, and have a go at straightening the rim out. That one's good, the other one's not so good. Right, now We'll knock the tyre off that other one now. Now we found this easy. Then next job is crack the bead on that big one next door, and we'll see if we can repair the tube or whether we're going to have to buy another tube. Tubes are 35-40 quid a piece, but I need to buy one. Even if I replace the tyres, I've got to buy tubes anyway, haven't I? Unless I buy a set. Right, let's crack on with the next one. Right, so as you can see, that's my second wheel to bits, but unfortunately the rim on this one suffered worse. Look at it, because it's so thin, the edges were just folding over as we're using the tyre irons in order to get it done. That's actually split there. So that one is definitely going out for the tip, and I think the other one will be accompanying it, to be honest with you. We might have saved the tube. We'll see. Let's have a look. Get a bit of air in it. To do this little bit. Right. Put a bit of air in. See if we've saved the tube. You can see by the state of the tube, it was well welded on. Looks like we saved the tube. As I say, look, you can see where it's been welded on. That's, it's got one patch in it already. We'll get the rust cleaned up. That GoPro just decided to die. As usual, GoPros, you know what I mean? Right, so one little thing. Tomorrow we're going to try and take that big wheel off next door. I've had to take this to bits already. I had to pull the shoe out the bottom, grease the threads because it started to gall up. We're going to see what it's like tomorrow, cracking that big tyre off. It might just be going back. Although it's a wonderful tool. It did work for the first tyre, and the first tyre came off quite easily. This tyre took a lot more breaking off, and as I say, the threads in that don't sound very healthy at the minute. We will see when we crack the big tyre. Okay, let's get tidied up here, get the rust off the floor, and we'll get next door. You can see we've got the tyre out, we've got the wheel off the tractor. I've took the centre out to make it more manageable. We're going to have a go of the day, breaking the bead on this, getting this tube out, see what we can achieve with it. It's absolutely pouring rain today. I managed to get the wheel off this morning and the centre out between showers. And I was lucky, just as I got finished, the heavens opened again, because it's coming away and it's just been, it's really heavy showers. But there again, it's forecast for the whole of the country, isn't it? Disruptive weather. I think it's January the 5th, 6th, Monday. As you can see, I've got the wheel off the tractor, brought it in here. I've took the centre out to make it easier to handle, because those centres are heavy things, and it just makes life easier. I've took the core out, the tube, the valve, took the valve core out so it can breathe as we'll crush the tyre, hopefully. One little device. I did mention that the thread, I thought the threads were starting to go. Well, I took the guide screw out the back, wound the foot right out. The threads were fine. There's not wrong with the threads. So there's a little pin. They're good gloves, aren't they? There's a little pin there. Knocked the pin out. Took the nut off the top. And took the thread. There's a big bolt effectively in there. Left hand thread. And I'll take it to bits when we're finished. I'll show you all this when we're finished. Top of here, the thread comes up and there's a collar. Sits in here and then it's turned down to a spigot that comes through for the nut to go onto. It's that collar that is galling against this collar. I think it really should have had a hardened washer in, or in the perfect world, it could have had a thrust bearing in there, which would have been a lot easier than what it is. But I've greased that, we're pumping it back together, we're going to see if it'll work. Let's see, I'll pull this to bits at the end, and we'll have a look at it then. Right, I'm going to hold you on time lapse for this. Not very exciting taking tyres off, is it? But I'm going to put you on time lapse. We'll have that tyre broken off, hopefully, fingers crossed, and we'll see where we get to, eh? Let's crack on. Right, as you can see in the time lapse, tubes out, inflated, a little golden nugget of information. Before you go and pull your tube out, change your valve stem, because at the minute that ain't got a puncture. A lot of work for now. Anyway, we did get to use this, didn't we? I'm going to pull this to bits now and show you where it's galling up, and it's worked perfectly today because yesterday when I stripped it, I bladdered, good Geordie word, I bladdered that internal face with grease, and it took the tyre off. As you see in the time lapse, it took the tyre off, no problem whatsoever. However, I think the rims are wrecked. I think we need to replace the rims, and the tyres they're not going back on. We're gonna have to bite the bullet and buy some tyres somehow. Be nice to get them done properly, wouldn't it? And then I think we'll have them put on professionally as well, because the curls on the rims are definitely caused by tyre irons. They're not. I thought they were people driving the tractor around the farmyard on flat tyres, hitting stones and they're curling, and it isn't. It's changing tyres that's causing the problems. So let's get on with this. What I've got to do, take the guide screw out the back, knock the big split pin out the top, this all drops to bits, and we'll see that face in there. Right, let's crack on. Okie dokie, first little job. 17mm lock nut. What's this? This is a 5mm Allen key. And all this does, it's a guide bolt. All it does is keeps the shoe in line with the rest of the body. This is left hand thread. Oh, I was wondering why it had gone tight there. We'll just unwind this. In fact, tell you what, we don't need to unwind it, do we? What we need to do, just knock that pin out of there. We don't need to unwind it. Knock the pin out. That is a nut, but it isn't, because it hasn't got a thread in it. And then we can pull that out of there. Now, pointy stick. This is the face that galled up yesterday, and it was that face that comes up against the bottom of this collar, and I just put a load of grease on. So if you're going to go and buy one of these, before you use it first time, do this, pull it to bits, stick a load of grease around the top of here and on your threads, pop it back together. The tool itself is brilliant. The tool itself does exactly what it says it's going to do. Yes, again, in the time lapse, you see I move it 3 or 4 times, but that's because the tyre's been on for so many years, and the whole thing is just rusted into position. I would imagine even a professional bead breaker would take 3 or 4 bites at that to get the bead to shift. Okay, while we've got this to bits, I'm just going to put some more grease on there. Might as well. And then it's done for the next time. Realistically, that would have been perfect had that been a lovely thrust washer, thrust bearing. I might actually see if we can get a hardened steel washer to go in there. There's not a lot of clearance, not a lot of play in there. When you pop all this back together and you pop your nut on, Which way does that go? That way. As I say, this is a left-hand thread. And any of yous that have done your own tyres, you will know how hard it is to break a bead, especially on an old tyre. That doesn't need to be that tight, it just needs to be nipped, because all it's doing is guiding the foot. This would have been amazing, I think, and it probably could be adapted to be hydraulic. There we go. Right, back together. As I say, 35 quid, it's probably worth 35 quid in sweat. By the time you get that, as your saws do it here, by the time you get that outside today, it's snowing, it's horrible. That I've had to do is change of clothes, because the little time I was outside opening the tyre up, the snow and the rain was just going straight through my skin. Absolutely freezing today. Right guys, as I say, big lesson for today. Check your valve stems first, because that's what it, I'm going to leave that overnight, but that's what it appears that it could have been. A leaky valve stem, because for some reason that's been up about an hour now, and it's showing no signs of wilting. That other one has, that's wilted a little bit, isn't it? We'll blow that up again tomorrow and have another go at it and find the puncture and get that repaired. Right guys, that's it for this little video. We will give that till tomorrow. We'll get it all reassembled. We'll get it put back on the tractor and we'll get it blown back up. So now we can get other jobs done that aren't part of the tractor, restoration, like putting my lights up, shifting my batteries, getting them all wired up to the solar panels, which is what we're doing today. 13 volts today, free, again, free. Yes, so we can start and get things moved, but obviously it's got to be dry, hasn't it, in order to get the tractor outside so we can get in next door and get sorted out. Anyway, thanks for visiting guys. As always, your time is really greatly appreciated when you come visiting us, tinkering on, even when we do silly mistakes like that. Lots of work and no way forward. Thanks very much guys. Have a good one, but remember, don't overthink it. It's only nuts and bolts. I'll catch you in the next one. Ta-ra now.